Smash Ultimate has been with this channel since the early days, initially being more speculative and reactionary until shifting towards the creative world of moveset making, inspired by the likes of Pizza Dude Manguy and Delzathan. It's been a hell of a ride from March 8th to October 5th in terms of big reveals, and until October 25th for the final update to the game. By no means is Smash Ultimate going away. I'm sure we're going to be playing this game for years to come. Even so, now that hyped up newcomer reveals aren't dropping every couple of months, the culture surrounding Smash Ultimate is going to change. Smash's time in the spotlight is ending. This is partially why we decided to end Ready Moveset Go, and why I've been doing other retrospective videos on the content in Smash. While Smash content is going to remain a part of this channel, it's gonna be different. And so for my last Smash video of the year, I wanted to take a big final look at everything Smash Ultimate, talk about how I felt about it then and how I feel about it now. I'll be starting with Ultimate itself, then touching on some of the content that didn't get in or didn't get into the extent that I expected, until ending with my own movesets and the future of Smash content on the channel. So let's rewind back to the very beginning. It was a day like any other, but one I remember vividly. I was in a meeting planning a concert for my school at the time when I received a message in the group chat. So, Nintendo Direct, Smash Bros. I popped off, interrupting the meeting, and watched the teaser on repeat when I got home. There wasn't much to go off, but with Inkling and Breath of the Wild Link, we had a good feeling that it wasn't a port. Also, coming 2018! We played Smash U religiously in college, so the fact that one was coming to Switch so soon was insane. We spent a large chunk of our last few months before graduating just spitballing names for the game, but I truly don't know if we ever said the words Smash Ultimate. After graduating is where I really got into the online community. The first things I remember watching were Delzathan's roster speculations, and I fell in deep after that, finding Pizza Dude, Source Gaming, Game Explain, and Papagenos among many others. Everything was glazed with hope and excitement. Then, at E3 2018, we finally got Smash Ultimate fully revealed. I watched it at a friend's place, returning from a botched interview at a recording studio that I truly couldn't have cared less about because of Smash. I had suspected that they might bring back most veterans, but the fact that they brought back everyone, including Young Link and Pichu, was a huge surprise. Everything looked so clean and tightened up, and I was all in. In terms of totally new stuff, we got to see Inkling in action, who played almost exactly as I'd hoped. Down the road, I never really got into playing Inkling. The moveset is cool, but doesn't match my playstyle, and I find fighting Inkling kind of annoying, constantly having to worry about the splat roller. They also introduced the concept of Echo Fighters with Daisy, basically just slapping an actual label on clone characters. In hindsight, the whole Echo Fighters thing was really weird from both the Smash and community sides. Developmentally, the fact that they gave Echo Fighters their own time to shine really implied that they'd be more of a consistent factor throughout Ultimate's life. And to be fair, before DLC they appeared in every major Smash Direct. We got one here, 3 in August, and 1 in November. But it always felt like they could do more with them, actively acknowledging that this is a way to get more fan favorites in without pulling much attention. A lot of fans shared this sentiment in a really ironic, funny way. Before, it was like a blight on Smash to be a clone character. Everyone thought that they stole spots from other full newcomers, although this was never the case and just a way to pad the roster with slight gameplay changes. Giving them the actual title Echo Fighter made everyone want clone characters. People were making lists, wanting an Echo DLC pack, or making up Echo Fighters for everyone on the roster. Truly a hilarious shift, but I do agree that I wish we saw more Echoes in DLC. And finally, Ridley was revealed, a longtime fan request who finally got his way in. Upon his arrival, I wasn't that hype over it. I hadn't played all the Metroids as I have now for one, but I didn't find him that exciting either. His downscaling worked, but did make him lose a bit of his boss feel, and his moveset wasn't the most exciting. But nowadays, I like playing Ridley from time to time. He does feel properly deadly and intimidating, but I hate his up B. I can't fathom why they gave him this. It's like a Star Fox recovery, but a million times worse. If they fix that, he'd be good to go. And beyond the presentation itself, the day after, my friends and I went to the Nintendo store in New York to try the game out. After the initial playtest on the laggy as hell big screen, I got to play a few more times and could tell it was going to be really good. It felt weird and different in the knockback speed and the perfect shielding, but now going back to Smash 4 is even weirder. Smash Ultimate feels like the right way now. I was more interested than ever and anxiously awaited the next direct. That next update would come on August 8th, a huge direct that was a blessing and a curse. We had so much dropped in this one. Simon and Richter were shown off, more of a longtime fan request. I was so excited for them, but I'm not that big on them playstyle wise. Fighting them turns into a projectile spam fest. Music is sick though. We had 2 more Echoes, Chrom and Dark Samus. Dark Samus was another Metroid rep I wasn't over the moon about, implying that we wouldn't be getting Sylux, but it's still nice to see her and the aesthetic changes are good. I'll talk more on her later. We got more of a stage showcase establishing its huge number, including Battlefield and Omega variants, great. The stage hazards toggle, great. And playing any music on a stage of the same franchise, great. We got a couple modes shown off, including Squad Strike, a very cool new mode that more or less covers that kind of one character per stock mode that many people wanted. And lastly, King K. Rool joined the roster. Despite no deep connection, he's a character who I really wanted since the Smash Ballad. He's a heavyweight, a villain, and more cartoony, all things I wanted more of in Smash newcomers. He plays differently than other hard-hitting bad guys too, with his belly gimmick and various projectiles. I enjoy playing him from time to time, even if he isn't the highest tier fighter. Fun story, I completely ruined this direct for a friend. That was the day he had a long drive out to grad school and told us he wouldn't be able to watch until he got there. Now, I thought this meant that he wasn't going to check anything until he got there as to avoid spoilers, and the other people in the chat didn't care as much. So the direct comes and goes, and I post a full-on dissertation for the other guys, basically a transcript of the direct talking about everything that happened because I was so excited. Unfortunately, my friend had stopped at a rest stop and checked his iPad, seeing every single thing spoiled for him in the message preview before he could even look away. Wasn't proud of that one. Anyway, I called this direct a blessing and a curse, and the downside was that it set expectations sky high. The premise of don't expect too many new fighters seemed to go out the window, with essentially 5 newcomers here even if 3 were Echoes, and most of them being huge fan requests. This was kind of an overload of expectations, and ultimately hurt response to the final 2 events. At the end of a regular Nintendo Direct, we had Isabelle revealed, as well as Animal Crossing New Horizons. I was on break as an actor at a haunted house, getting snippets of information about the Direct, and it seemed like there was confusion as to what exactly Isabelle was. I had assumed she was an Echo and was waiting to hear who the big newcomer was, but nope, it was her. I completely understand why they added her, she's incredibly popular, but I would have liked a more distinct take on an Animal Crossing moveset. Regardless, she's fine, she's okay to play with, that fishing rod can be a menace. This was the first major deflation from the August 8th high, an expected addition that wasn't exceptionally exciting from a gameplay standpoint, followed up by in talking about the November 1st Smash Direct, it's impossible to paint a full picture without discussing the leaks and rumors of the time. There was a big divide between people who expected only a few more newcomers and those who expected about the same as August 8th, driven primarily by the warring factions of speculation like Box Theory and the Grinch leak. I can't even fully describe the circumstances of the Grinch leak. Basically, there was an alleged leaked banner that included a slew of newcomers that seemingly had links to official printing promotional companies, a web of information that seemed so dense that it couldn't possibly be fake. And then Box Theory was right, with only 2 available slots on a special edition box perfectly fitting the final 2 base game newcomers we got. Admittedly, I did get caught up in all of this despite no close connection to the rumored characters. I just wasn't very excited for a new Pokemon. We got Ken, a fine choice for an Echo fighter, and Incineroar as our Gen 7 Pokemon of choice. He's fine, he can be very irritating to play against with players spamming down B followed by the command grab, but I still agree that he's kind of a bland choice. As a non-fan, it feels like they could have found a cooler character to make a showy wrestler, and even fans seem to prefer many other Pokemon over him. Was definitely kind of a letdown, but the prospect of DLC lessened the blow. This was also heralded in with Piranha Plant, a free DLC fighter for a set amount of time. Reactions were mixed at the time in the wake of the somewhat disappointing reveals and the slaughterhouse of assist trophies, but I always liked it. It was stupid and out of nowhere, but they felt like they genuinely had a fun idea and built a character out of it. And I really enjoy playing Plant. It's super inventive with some fun abilities and nasty powerful moves. The only other major announcement in this direct was revolving around Spirits and World of Light, but I'll talk about that next. Despite coming out of this a little less exhilarated, it was still great that Smash was coming so soon, and I even got to play it again at a mall kiosk a couple weeks later, which solidified my confidence that this could already be my favorite Smash ever. Skipping over December 6th for now, let's go right to December 7th. I made special plans to ensure Smash would get delivered safely, ordered a bunch of extra stuff like the Smash controller and strategy guide just to own more or less, and took time off so it would just be me and Smash. And god, this game delivered. Let's start with Spirits and World of Light. The Spirits concept is cool, but I feel like it could have been taken further and doesn't replace trophies well. I do enjoy the sticker style usage of changing stats or giving positive or negative effects, and it's fun to think about what certain spirits would be or why certain effects were given. But I do wish we could set up full-on spirit fights or even little mini campaigns, permanently changing stats for the match instead of wearing off after the beginning. I've always liked setting up fake event fights with friends, but it's always been too limited to do much with, and spirits sadly aren't versatile enough to make it better. Because of that, I basically never have a reason to use them in normal gameplay. And without any additional info, it's fun to see certain characters and franchises in the game, but it does hurt to not have the super detailed informational trophies. And World of Light, like I've said before, is fun with really cool unique moments like Gourmet Race in the Castlevania section, but is too long and samey to want to play through again. Plus the map is ugly and I would have liked more cutscenes. Moving on, I'm gonna come out and say it. I don't think Smash Ultimate's online is bad. I think it is perfectly serviceable. It could be better in the way arenas are set up, but Nintendo has only recently gotten better with online infrastructure. Just buy the damn wired adapter and it's fine. Now that the pitchforks are on the way, let's look at games and more. Classic mode is probably my favorite single player experience. Each campaign is unique and some of the themes are really fun. The other aspects are a little lacking, especially Stage Builder and a lack of any stadium modes outside of Home Run Contest. Stage Builder is too constricting to really get into it, mostly because of the limits imposed. More customization to textures and colors would have really helped. And while Home Run is fine, no targets or Boss Rush really hurts. Especially Boss Rush, I don't get why they didn't let everyone play it with Sephiroth's Edition. But when we get to the core of the game, despite all my gripes, it's excellent, the best in its class. I've heard some people complain that competitive play is limited to fundamentals and not technical prowess compared to Melee, but that's what I love about it. Instead of a huge barrier to entry, anyone can hypothetically put in the time, understand their character, and go toe to toe. Plus, it is ridiculously well balanced for its size. I love seeing what characters are leading tournaments because it's always a little different. I love Smash Ultimate, and it's always fun to play, even if they left us Samus mains in the dirt to rot. But stepping back a day, watching the 2019 Game Awards on my parents' couch, I was shocked awake by the only interesting thing to happen. Joker from Persona 5 revealed as Ultimate's first Fighters Pass DLC. This was a hype reveal, but basically only because it wasn't leaked or speculated about. The early days of Ultimate were riddled with accurate enough leaks, and having someone that was truly out of the blue was a pleasant surprise. No personal connection to the game though, and fast forwarding to his gameplay breakdown and release in April, he's a character that is very opposite to my normal playstyle. Still a cool character addition with a good stage, but not one I play frequently, and no Mii costumes that excited me. We also got Stage Builder here, which I already talked about. Moving on to E3 2019, we got a double reveal that shook the Smash community around the world. First, we had Dragon Quest Hero, an RPG icon primarily in the East, and Banjo-Kazooie, a longtime fan request especially for us Westerners. Let's focus on Hero for now, with the first Sakurai Presents in July. This was mostly neutral for me after being rumored for months, but I was very skeptical about the randomness and critical hits involved with the character. Turns out I really like playing Hero though, he can be a lot of fun. The only thing that remains annoying are critical hits. They should have been turned way down because they can still be super frustrating to get hit by. But the detail put into the 4 versions is fun, the stage has really grown on me, and he's overall a very enjoyable addition. Fast forward to September in a Smash Direct followed by a surprise Sakurai Presents. After Nintendo let SNK and Smash slip, we had Terry Bogard revealed, and Banjo fully shown off. It was great to see him finally in the game. I think he converted over beautifully with a moveset that feels straight out of Melee or Brawl, but I'm not that big on actually playing him. He's just kinda whatever. He came with some great content, especially in his music with some amazing remixes, but more importantly, This changed the whole trajectory of Mii costume discussion and the way people viewed them. I was elated to see Sans in Smash, Undertale in Smash in any form. We may have gotten a smaller number of these huge character costumes than expected after this, but it looks great, and coming with Megalovania is the biggest win there could be. And then, after that, Terry came out in November. No, I may have been uninterested at first, but I really like how Terry was done. He's probably my favorite of the fighting game characters. He works super smoothly, except for his recovery, which always feels weird around the ledge and doesn't quite latch on sometimes. But he's still really cool, and I love his stage and all of the songs he came with. Arriving at the end of the first Fighter's Pass, we reach one of the more divisive moments in Smash Ultimate, to put it lightly. We may have had the promise of more DLC, but another Fire Emblem character was about the most disdained choice it could have possibly been. It was like the meme choice of DLC endings come to fruition. Full disclosure, at the time I was pretty let down by the initial reveal. But when the moveset was shown off, I was cool with it. Not the most exciting, but unquestionably unique and different from the other Fire Emblem reps, and with the popularity of Three Houses, earns its spot here. Violet's kind of become a deep pocket pick for me, one of like 7 characters I reliably rotate between. Still think the stage sucks though. The only other thing I've noticed in the Mii wave, with Ubisoft showing up with Altair and a rabbit hat, both pretty cool, and the Cuphead costume coming with Floral Fury. Another amazing indie choice, and again more disappointing that these didn't occur more frequently. Entering a new phase in Smash Ultimate, and for the world, in a March mini direct we learned that an ARMS fighter would join the roster. I was always cool with this and excited to see how it was done, and Min Min plays almost exactly as expected and is a cool unique gimmick, but a lot of people really dislike Min Min. Outside of actual gameplay, I think people just decided to make hating first party ads their personality after Byleth or even after Incineroar. Min Min's cool, ARMS is cool, everyone calm down. All that said, I don't like playing Min Min. More cool Mii costumes though, especially with the Vault Boy costume, really out of left field, but cool and exciting to see Bethesda enter the ranks of Smash. Still, it's been a few characters since anything ground shaking. Let's see something big. Yeah, like that. I really wish I had recorded a reaction to this, but it was so ungodly early that I could barely process what I was seeing. Steve is the Smash reveal I have most connection to, and was the character I was personally most hyped for. Clearly many people agree, or at least found it fascinating, basically breaking Twitter. And thankfully Steve transitioned over exactly as I'd hoped. His moveset is great, and while I don't love playing him, he's so much fun to watch. Good palette swaps, good stage, bad music, and fun Mii costumes that in the future were also not expanded on with the floating limbs concept. Speaking of costumes, we also got a full Bomberman costume and another big D confirmation with Travis. As with all Mii costumes, cool to get him in. I thought he was possible, but wasn't really pulling for him. After a frankly disappointing 2019 Game Awards, I went into 2020s hesitantly, especially after the year that it was. And while it was drawn out as always, we did upfront get our next newcomer, Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. My initial reaction was happy but lukewarm, as new franchises joining Smash are more exciting than returning. But in Final Fantasy's case, it might as well have been a new franchise. As a holdover from Wii U, Cloud and Final Fantasy had basically nothing, and Sephiroth really made it feel complete with another stage, music, Mii costumes, and spirits. As time has gone on, I'd say his was my favorite reveal trailer. The tone is excellent. It's so imposing and the music slaps, and it really makes you feel the terror that is Sephiroth as a boss. Plus the animation is top notch, like goddamn. I'd watch a full Smash movie as clean as this. And to top it off, I really enjoy playing him. Like Banjo, he feels incredibly natural on the roster. It feels like he's been here forever. Awesome newcomer choice. Okay, look, I try to be positive and understand that every character has their fans, but I do not like Pyra/Mythra as an addition to the roster at all. Like, on basically any level. The trailer didn't help, it was obvious to me from second one and was very drawn out because of that. I don't have a problem with Xenoblade, but from everything I've seen of Chronicles 2, I don't care for a lot of their choices. and that carries over to Pyra/Mythra's design. And while this could all be forgiven, I find them extremely bland moveset wise, and think they're the weakest addition to the roster in all of Ultimate. It's a swapping mechanic that just makes you fast or strong with some different moves. I really wasn't feeling this initially, and now at the end of Smash's DLC, I can safely say that if I could, I would replace them with basically any other character. Mii costumes were also fairly underwhelming this round, but the Arthur outfit was appreciated. In our final E3 with Smash Ultimate, we got Kazuya from Tekken, someone I'm clearly very familiar with.
Oh, Heihachi made it. Or is it Heihachi, is that his last name? No, this is like Jin or whoever, isn't it?
A middling announcement at first. Once we got to see what was going on behind the hood and got our hands on him, he's a really cool addition. I love the characters on the roster that really push their moveset potential and find new methods of control. He's a little too much to want to play regularly, but I think he's a solid addition. And of course we got the Mishima Dojo and Tekken music, both of which are really, really good. This Mii wave though, our final returning costume in Lloyd, and 3 big names in Skyrim's Dragonborn, Dante from Devil May Cry, and Shantae coming with a sick music track. At this point, it was clear chances for Smash were dwindling, so it was cool to see those represented in Smash at all. Plus that Dragonborn costume, another Bethesda IP. Oh. Just like the direct starting here with costumes, we had Doomslayer as our final Mii costume. I could be sad he didn't go all the way to playable fighter, but getting in at all is great, and it's awesome to see how far Doomslayer has gone in fan popularity and requests. Though it's sad he didn't come with Rip and Tear or BFG Division or even E1M1. Anyway, let's get to the main event. Many feared that Smash would end on a whimper, and I'm so happy they proved us wrong. Though looking behind the scenes, it seems like Kazuya was the original final character, which would have been so-so. Instead, we got Sora from Kingdom Hearts. I like Sora, don't get me wrong, I made a moveset for him, but as a character and moveset, it's not like mind-blowingly hype for me. Instead, I think Sora was the perfect ending they could have gone for. It's clear he's had global support since day one, and is the safest choice to make everyone happy while also being an interesting character and big addition to the cast. There's characters I would have liked more, or characters I would have preferred from a moveset standpoint, but Sora is exactly the way Smash Ultimate deserved to end, and the fact that Sakurai went to extra trouble to make it happen shows how much he cares about fans and wanted to make Smash Ultimate the best he could. That concludes my tour of Smash Ultimate's reveal cycle, but I would love to hear your own stories. What got you most hype in Smash Ultimate, or what moments do you remember the most? Before we move on and look back at my own Smash content, I wanted to throw out a couple scattered thoughts on things that I'm surprised didn't see the light of day in Smash. This is a very random list of things that were frequently brought up in speculation that I'm surprised didn't get in either at all or to the extent that I expected. This is limited to the stuff on my mind, so I'm sorry if I don't mention something that you were expecting. Let's start with what I feel is the most glaring one. I still can't fully believe that Ryu Hayabusa didn't make any appearance in Ultimate. He went from being one of the most obvious third-party choices to being a hopeful for a Mii Sword Fighter or at least a Spirit event when the Master Collection got released. With how much Nintendo and Koei Tecmo worked together, I just don't know why this never happened, and I would love to see at least a Mii Sword Fighter in the future, if not a full-on appearance bringing that classic ninja style to the roster. With Kazuya's arrival, I was almost positive one of these Bandai Namco properties would make their way into Smash as Mii costumes. A Chosen Undead Sword Fighter, Solaire Sword Fighter, Nightmare Sword Fighter, there's so many options. Bandai Namco has been strangely reserved when it comes to bringing their IPs into Smash, which I respect as to add diversity to the kinds of franchises that get in, but come on now. This is one of the most influential gaming series right now, and another huge name in the fighting game genre. Dark Souls would be my choice of the two for full playable rep, but not getting a Mii Sword Fighter for either was very surprising and a little disappointing to me. While not directly connected, these two seem to pop up in Smash speculation together very frequently. Both were often on speculated for newcomer status, and for the points made in their favor, I'm surprised they didn't get Mii costumes. Brawler for Arl from Puyo Puyo, and Sword Fighter for Reimu from Toho Project. I'm a little more surprised over Arl's lack of appearance considering Puyo Puyo Tetris on Switch. Again, not directly connected, but two characters brought up in unison for speculation who both have deep ties to Nintendo. I'm not particularly surprised at the lack of Professor Layton, though he has a lot of support and a sword fighter would have been cool. I am very surprised about Phoenix Wright though. He's a pretty big character and a Mii brawler would have been absolutely perfect. It works so well with the suit and wig. He definitely would have fit right in along with other Capcom costumes like Ghosts and Goblins. This is a very silly and much shorter idea, but I think it would have been awesome to have Mii costumes that change each fighter to a wireframe look like the original multi-man fights. I think it'd look cool and be a great callback, considering Mii's have taken over that role. These two titular characters are in Smash in some way, but I would have really liked to see Mii costumes for them at least. A Rayman brawler would have been a little tough, but is possible in the same vein as the Pig and Creeper costumes. But a Shovel Knight sword fighter would have been so easy, it's a shame they didn't make it happen. We may have gotten the father of FPS in Smash as a Mii costume, but with Microsoft's continued content and support in Smash, I'm really surprised they didn't do the same for Master Chief. I'm guessing they just weren't down for the representation or Nintendo didn't care to make the deal, but it's a shame since he is the other huge globally known FPS icon, though I guess they would have just given him the pistol instead of something cool like a Spartan laser. Finally, for specific franchises, we touch on some of the indies that I'm surprised didn't show up in some way alongside Undertale and Cuphead. First, there's Madeline from Celeste, maybe not the most requested choice, but would have been a super easy Mii brawler. A little more expected was a Cadence sword fighter from Crypt of the Necrodancer, especially with the Cadence of Hyrule crossover. For me and for many though, the most surprising omission is Hollow Knight. When I think of the biggest indies out there right now, it's Undertale, Cuphead, and Hollow Knight, especially with everyone waiting with bated breath over Silksong. A Knight sword fighter would have been so easy, it's a real shame it didn't happen, and I'm curious if Team Cherry was too busy to take the initiative, or if the Smash team just didn't see the opportunity. Alongside straightforward character and franchise representation, there's a few other things I'm sad didn't get into Smash, especially post-release. One of these is more and more interesting modes to mess around with. Sure, we got Home Run and Stage Builder, but I was definitely looking for something more substantial. I get that all eyes and all focus were on the newcomers, but a handful of new modes would help the game last even longer. I already mentioned a proper boss rush, which would have been great, especially if they put Porky back in. But other stadium classics like Targets and Race to the Finish would have been cool, though I guess the classic bonus mode was kinda Race to the Finish. They don't need to be custom for each fighter, maybe just a few difficulty levels and design elements to accommodate for different speeds and ranges of builds. I can play Ultimate forever, but a couple more things to do would have gone a long way. Something I'd always hoped for in Ultimate was more unique and interesting palette swaps. Some characters delivered, some did not. I really would have loved a pack of DLC costumes, whether they be drawn from other character appearances or rescaling everyone down to a Smash 64 low poly look. Finally, I think Smash Ultimate's new stage offerings are probably the most lacking element of the core experience. Having most stages return is excellent, but I think just like Mii costumes, it would have been great to have more stages not tied to new fighters. Things like Snipper Clips, Astral Chain, Ring Fit, Mario Party, Monster Hunter, even new entries to old franchises like Pokemon Sword Shield and Metroid Dread. Smash used to add these unrelated stages all the time with things like Balloon Fight or PictoChat, and it's a shame that Smash's stage game kinda declined. Alright, now for the fun part. I wanted to go through my old videos and see how off the mark I was with my predictions and what might have eventually come true in my movesets. I'm gonna do a quick run through of my non-moveset videos first. Before Ultimate was fully revealed, I made a couple of videos with general hopes and predictions. We did unfortunately miss out on a few returning things I wanted. No large-scale Sector Z stage, none of the fun extra modes like Targets, no Pokefloats or fun joke stage, no boss rush, and no Rainbow Road or Pac Maze from 3DS. And the three stages I explicitly didn't want, 75M, Wrecking Crew, and Pac-Land, all returned. I was right on a few fighter-based things though. Said Cappy would show up with Mario somehow, though I thought it'd be a move, and Link was generally updated for Breath of the Wild. There were newcomer thoughts I was right on as well, though I had a pretty heavy first party slant to them, which Ultimate did kind of step away from. King Cavril was probably the biggest for me. I always felt like he had a pretty good chance to get in. I said Ridley had a decent chance, but didn't really want him downscaled. Said Rex and Pyra had a high chance and was eventually kinda right. Banjo I had as a moderate chance, same with Bomberman who got in as a costume. I was talking about Doomslayer before he really took off and before I saw the potential myself, so at least he got in at all. Said Shantae and Shovel Knight had high chances and at least they got in somehow. Simon was one of my highest likelihoods, and said Springman was also a high probability, and we did get Midman. The main things I got wrong were saying Waluigi and Rayman were super likely, and I'm still pretty surprised we didn't see either of them as playable. I'm gonna fast forward a bit because a lot of my follow-up videos were just piggybacking off of current speculation, so let's jump way ahead to Fighter Pass 2, where I actually tried to predict everything. And you know, I only got one fully right, but I think my logic was pretty sound. I said we'd be getting a character that was extremely genre heavy and more about the moveset than a massive reveal, a big Japanese request, all of which had a sword, specifically a square rep in Sora, then either 2 Western characters and 1 first party, or 2 first parties and 1 Western rep. That was the only place I was really off on, mostly just being hopeful for 2 characters I had connection to, and I still did call the Western spot going to a big family-friendly icon. So the first spot is the most of a stretch, considering Kazuya is not the most anticipated character despite Tekken being huge, and not introducing a new genre into Smash, but really going crazy with the fighting game concept. That one I can admit I'm most wrong on. The next one I feel pretty okay with, counting Sephiroth among these guys. Iconic sword fighter, a character many love, and just generally a really big Japanese name. We also did get 3 Mii costumes for my predictions, the returning Lloyd and Dante and Travis. Then the only thing I got fully right was Square getting another character in, turns out they got 2, and I was dead on with Sora. After that is the 2 Western spots combined into 1, we got the family-friendly one in my backup choice of Steve, and did see a Doomslayer costume. Then we get 2 first parties, which I knew we'd get 1 or 2 of, but I had no idea who. I thought Arms and Xenoblade were out of the running, but clearly they went back to things they didn't have time for before. On the whole, I'd say my predictions and understanding of how Smash works got better over time. At the beginning, I was just kinda saying shit, but over these few years, I started to think more critically about how certain characters would work or what the Smash team could see in a character, whether it be moveset or the ease of getting them in from a logistical standpoint. Very few people can be 100% correct with their predictions, but for making 2 movesets for characters that got in, I'll take that as a W. Speaking of, let's dive into the last major section of this video. I want to take one sweeping look at all of the movesets I've made on the Ultimate Hype Train to see how things landed and what they could turn into in the future. For the hell of it, let's do this in order of least viewed to most viewed. Give those smaller videos some love and save the ones everyone knows for last. I'll also sprinkle in the compilations like Ready Moveset Go, the 3 movesets, and the 10 characters. First up is a very recent moveset of mine, inspired by my horribly inconsistent new workout routine, the Ring Fit trainee from Ring Fit Adventure. Ring Fit was hot in my mind, and having finally played the game, I saw a lot of opportunity for this character on the Smash roster. What really drove that home was seeing Ring Fit's sales numbers. It's really impressive that a game like this is so high up. Reminds me of the Wii days. Moveset wise, as it's so recent, I'm still pretty happy with how I handled it, nothing I explicitly want to change. And in terms of chances, I feel pretty spot on, stating that they're a reasonably likely character that wasn't appropriate for the final DLC fighter. I find the trainee very interesting for the next Smash though. If it continues moving units, I could absolutely see Ring Fit joining the roster, and personally, I would like to see Ring Fit replace Wii Fit. I think the trainee has a lot more appeal and personality as a character, has a similar but more interesting moveset that could introduce fitness-based gimmicks, and most importantly, the world of Ring Fit is far beyond the bland, lifeless aesthetic of Wii Fit Studio. I'm very much pulling for Ring Fit trainee in the next Smash, and I'm excited to see what they do with the concept. Moving on, we have more of a passion pick here, having made a moveset for Piper from SteamWorld Heist. I really enjoy the game, but as not to prolong this, I'll just say that I don't think Piper is likely at all, especially now that Thunderful is moving more towards Xbox seemingly, and I don't think Piper is that exciting as a fighter. The laser sight bouncing shots premise is cool and all, but beyond the aesthetic, I just don't see it happening. Some kind of SteamWorld Mii costume would be hype though. For our first divergence from the fuller moveset concepts, I'm gonna do a lightning round of the movesets I've made for Ready Moveset Go, as detailed in my collections videos. Ready, moveset, go. A Unova Pokemon trainer or Gen 5 rep would be cool and there's tons of potential, but I'm not knowledgeable enough to be particularly passionate and I don't think it's likely. Undyne is a fun character with a ton of charisma and good moveset potential, but I doubt she's the Undertale rep we'd get. I think Sans, Frisk, and Papyrus are all higher on the totem pole, while Undyne is tied with someone like Mettaton. Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins is represented in some way with a Mii sword fighter, so maybe we could see an upgrade, but I wouldn't hold my breath. He's not that unique. Chef from Overcooked isn't going to happen, but any kind of food-based fighter would be delightful. A Rocket League battle cart especially isn't going to happen, but something like an assist trophy or stage would be hype. Now Kamek, I don't know about. He's iconic enough along with being a first party that I could totally see it happening, bolstered by a lot of fun moveset possibilities. I think he's one of the more likely of my RMG movesets and a great choice to add some chaos to the roster with his magic. Shang Tsung is another fun magic user, but wouldn't get in over Scorpion or Sub-Zero, who would probably just show up as Mii brawlers. Similar story with Dr. Kyle, who wouldn't get in over Cuphead, who are already costumes. Robobot Kirby, or anything from Robobot, is fairly unlikely at this point, kinda like a Gen 5 rep. A rhythm fighter, like a Chef fighter, would be really cool, but I don't think Axel or Guitar Hero has a chance to be that. Rundus is another past his time first party, with good moveset potential, but not top of the list. The Squid Sisters would be a really interesting duo moveset. I'm not sure the moveset is all there, but I'm gonna say they're more likely than I'd expect. Ray Mark III, not a chance unless Custom Robo comes back and they figure out how to do a small oppressive glass cannon as a fighter. Chain Chomp is a really fun choice for Mario mob, but we already have Plant and other iconic mobs are more likely. Similar story with Guardian from Breath of the Wild, but even less likely. Taizo from Dig Dug, nope. Maybe like an assist trophy or a Namco arcade medley stage. Bowser and Donkey Kong getting reworked would be nice, depends on where Smash goes from here. Any fourth party like Vader, Mr. Monopoly, and Batman isn't gonna happen. Dark Samus getting upgraded is unlikely, but not impossible, maybe if she becomes relevant again. And finally, Taboo would be fun and fans would be happy, but I think most agree Master Hand would be a more hype Smash original character. Of them all, I'd put Kamek forward as my RMG champion that I'd like to see and has a chance. Another little rapid fire, this time only with 3 movesets. QB from Box Boy would be cute, but is unlikely and doesn't have the most interesting gimmick, though the concept of changing where you attack from by building onto yourself is still neat. Trapper is for sure not happening, though I still feel he embodies the actual horror elements of horror games. And XCOM is also not happening, something switching out that many characters in one might be tough. Gordon Freeman from Half-Life and Shell from Portal are both gaming icons that I just don't see happening. Beyond any speculation over FPS reps getting onto the roster or their popularity in Japan, I'm fairly confident that Valve and Nintendo have no relationship. I'd love to even get a Mii costume, but despite the awesome stuff these two could bring to Smash, I'm not holding my breath until Orange Box Deluxe comes to Switch. My most recent solo moveset, II is a trickier character to feel out. I think people would be happy to see him, or at least interested to see how he works. I still like my moveset choices, and I think there's plenty of ways they could make him work once they picked a direction. And Monkey Ball as a whole is still popular, divisive as the most recent installations may be. Still, I don't find II to be that likely. He's not a character that screams Smash Bros. Fighter to me, and I think he's another candidate more likely to be represented in an awesome Monkey Ball stage. Finally getting to one of my original movesets, say hello to my old friend Henry Fleming. Having replayed Codename Steam last year, I'm happy to say it still holds up tremendously and you should totally play it. That said, sadly there's still no signs of a Switch port or sequel in the works after its lukewarm reception. It's a real bummer. I think there's a lot that could be done with the series and it's so enjoyable to play. Smash didn't completely forget this game though, giving us a Henry Fleming spirit and a remixed song. As for Henry himself getting onto the roster, I hate to admit it, but on top of his already low likelihood, he doesn't pack a moveset that's begging to be added. I think my depiction was accurate enough and seen in certain places in other characters like Inkling with the ink and Steve by building cover on stage. I described his chances as slim to none in the video, and begrudgingly that still holds true. I've always been surprised this one didn't get more attention. It's Master Chief. Either way, as stated earlier, I was very surprised by the total lack of Halo representation in Smash Ultimate. I'm pleased that Doomslayer got that treatment over Chief, but still sad considering my history with the franchise. To me, Master Chief is more or less the next Sora, though to me is the operative phrase there, as I don't think he has the exact type of pull that Sora did amongst gamers at large. Still, he's a worldwide icon for the FPS genre, and has his fair share of interesting moveset options. I'm still not in love with his moveset over Doomslayer's, and haven't really found another moveset that's completely sold me. I think Halo as a series getting into Smash would almost be equally hype. So I think at this point I would settle for Chief and Elite Mii costumes and like a stage or assist trophy or item. But I'd be thrilled if they made it happen next time around, and with how closely Nintendo and Microsoft work together now, it's not impossible. Also, side note, it's hilarious to me that I basically called the exact Bethesda costumes we got. Not much to say here, both of these aren't happening. Tracer would be a fun enough gunner character, but Activision Blizzard can eat shit, and we're still not going to get fourth parties in Smash. The first of two movesets we got to see the real versions of. I'm so happy we got to see Sora. I really don't think there's anything from my interpretation I would have preferred definitively. They did a great job and he feels great and fits right in. Only real sadness here is the lack of costumes. Destiny Islands might have been a better stage, and not being able to get Hikari is a bummer. My final group movesets, these two videos were on new types of Mii fighters that could have joined the ranks. And you know, the more I've sat with these ideas, the more I really want them. The likelihood of them happening is so-so. I could totally see Mage at the very least, but it's not exactly something that demands the attention of the dev team. Still, I see the Miis as great ways to experiment with moveset concepts and methods of introducing fighter archetypes without worrying about getting big third parties or choosing only one character limiting the moveset potential. Individually, I think the athlete is maybe the least exciting, with fun moves and references to Wii Sports, but nothing that demands to be seen. Musician is unlikely, but is one of the better ways to get a rhythm fighter into the game. The Racer is one of my favorites, properly representing Mario Kart with a clear moveset but tricky implementation. Like I said, the Mii Mage is likely and popular with a ton of possibilities. Mii Ninja is okay, not particularly likely, and the closest is something we already have. And the Mii Chef is fairly interesting and another good pick for a hard to place fighter gimmick. I personally would most like to see the Racer or Musician, while the Mage and Chef are probably more likely. My first moveset of this year was Zagreus from Hades. This was another pick kind of like Ring Fit, where it was inspired by playing the game at the time, but also after seeing indies expand even more into Smash in one way or another. Zagreus as a sword-wielding roguelike rep could be really cool and fit in easily, but right now he's kind of a wait-and-see character. He missed the time frame for Ultimate, but his popularity could make him a prime indie consideration for the next Smash, but Supergiant seems to be more or less done with Hades, so it may not be something like Shantae or Shovel Knight that will continue being relevant with new installments. It's hard to say right now, but I could still totally see a Zagreus Mii sword fighter at the very least, maybe not the first fully playable indie though. So, as it probably has for many others, Fall Guys has more or less completely vacated my mind. It was fun and all, but I'm not particularly driven to play it again. As such, I don't have much comment on the Fall Guy getting into Smash. It was never very likely, and the game hasn't stuck around enough to boost the argument. At the very least, it is coming to Switch eventually, and I still do really like the concept of using obstacles for your attacks kind of happenstancically hitting other fighters. But at most, I could see a Mii Brawler costume happening. A stage would be sick though, it'd fit in perfectly. At last, we've arrived at my very first moveset, Sylix from the Metroid Prime series. Time has not been kind to Sylix. His moveset still holds up fine, though it could be more unique, but the main issue is the wait for Prime 4. For one, we don't know if Sylix is still as important as we were led to believe all those years ago. They may have gone in an entirely new direction and left old elements of Prime behind, thus making him essentially another one-off hunter like Rundus despite the cameos. More pressing though is Metroid's resurgence thanks to Mercury's theme, particularly with Dread. Not only is it an incredible game, but I think its relevance and reception has brought up another character that has immediately superseded Sylix's chances, Ravenbeak. Whether one is better than the other, I don't know, I'd need to think on it. So after all this time, Sylix's chances are about the same as they ever were. Reliant on his feature in the Prime games, a cult following character with less mainstream appeal as another primary antagonist. My other moveset to see the light of day on the roster, and honestly not the one I would have expected. Still, as I've already expressed several times, I'm extremely happy with how Steve was implemented and happy that some character I care about got onto the roster. There are a couple moves where I still prefer my ideas, and the stage being bigger would have been nice, and the music selection is very weak in my opinion, but all in all, I think they made him work perfectly. Kicking off my 3 most popular movesets is that final piece of the modern indie puzzle, again, the Knight from Hollow Knight. Like I said before, I'm still so surprised that we didn't get a sword fighter costume. Right now, the Knight is kinda in the same spot as Silex and Zagreus. He's an extremely popular request among fans, and Hollow Knight is a huge indie title that people love and sold great on Switch. And he's got a great moveset, fitting seamlessly into Smash. But much like Prime 4, the future of the franchise is currently clouded, with indie worlds and directs coming and going, letting down fans hopeful for any kind of update on Silksong. Not that that includes the Knight most likely, another hit to his chances. If Silksong comes out sooner than later and dominates gaming discussion again, then I could totally see Hollow Knight joining the roster in some form. At the very least, it would be the next major candidate for a Mii costume or the next game's equivalent to Spirits. This one was always way more popular than I expected, and I think it just goes to show how many people would love for this to happen. I don't think anyone would really complain about Master Hand becoming fully playable, at least outside of the necessary downscaling. This is another moveset that hasn't changed much, with maybe a few new moves in Ultimate that could be added, and realistically his chances haven't changed all that much. I was right in that we did get to play as Master Hand, but I really wish it would have been its own mode entirely. Besides that, I think Master Hand would have worked really well in the Piranha Plant kind of spot. A character that's free for most players and a reward for fans. A simple concept that's iconic and a ton of fun to play. I think one day we will see Master Hand on the roster. As a Smash original, he may even be the most likely of all my movesets. And here we are, once again returning to my most popular moveset by a landslide and my most wanted Smash fighter, Doomslayer. What a ride it's been for this character. Initially mostly looked over, Doomslayer's popularity took off in part because of the success of Doom 2016 and hype for Doom Eternal, and in part because of fake leaks and rumors. I'm not really sure where the genesis of all of this was, or even if I played a part in it at all, probably not. But over time he became one of the most talked about potential newcomers, up there in the big leagues with Rayman, Ryu Hayabusa, Dante, Master Chief, Sora. And if you doubted how much noise Doomslayer fans were making, here's the proof. This costume would not be in the game if it weren't for his sudden rise in popularity. And now they know he has his fans and clearly know his importance to the FPS genre. If all Smash Ultimate turned out to be for him was a stepping stone towards playable in the next game, I'll take that any day. Still, I'm of course sad we didn't get to see him now in this huge roster full of gaming icons, but the alternative was nothing at all. And in terms of my moveset video itself, well, it's more than a little outdated. I've learned way more about Doom and understand it to a much deeper level now, and Doom Eternal added a lot more to consider. Plus the production of the video itself is... I think Doomslayer deserves an overhaul and a proper look at how Doom would be represented in Smash, but that's for another day. If you cornered me and asked who I thought would be most likely for the next Smash, I'd say Master Hand, Ring Fit Trainee, and Doomslayer, followed by a Hollow Knight rep, Comic, and Master Chief. And... well, I think that's it. I think that's basically everything I could talk about for Smash Ultimate. The only thing to do now is see where we go from here. I never intended for this channel to be mainly a Smash thing. It was supposed to be supplemental along with other stuff I was working on. But it took on a life of its own. I've really enjoyed doing it, it's given me a deeper understanding of game design, and it's introduced me to some really awesome people. And of course there's all of you who have watched my movesets and talked about what you would like to see in the game. It's been an incredible little journey, but Smash Ultimate has come to an end, and with that the community is going to move on and seek out this kind of content less and less. So what are my plans for this channel when it comes to Smash? I plan to talk about this more in depth in my end of the year update, but let me give you a basic gist. No, I'm not going to fully stop making Smash content. It's still something I'm extremely passionate about, and it's incredibly fun to speculate and imagine what characters and franchises would be like in the game. However, the frequency is going to get turned down a bit. How much exactly, I haven't decided yet. Ready Moveset Go is concluded for now, that's for sure. I'll still be making movesets, whether they be for single characters I'm really excited about at the time, or for groups of fighters like more new Mii fighters. But it'll be more about what games I'm playing at the time or what ideas are exciting me at the moment, and not not about consistently trying to put out Smash content at least once a month. As we get farther away from Smash Ultimate, I'll also be doing broader topic videos, like talking about the future of the franchise or diving into specifics of the makeup of the roster. Some of these are already in the works, some of them are just vague ideas that I'll dive into over time. Regardless, it's safe to say that Smash will stay as an important part of this channel, just a little less. You know, at the beginning of this video, I talked about how Smash has been with this channel for most of its life, but it's more than that. Smash has been with me for most of my life. It came out at a perfect time for young me to really get it, and it's basically what got me into video games at all. Watching other people play it, I knew I wanted an N64 for no other reason than to play Smash. Growing up, it stayed with me and grew alongside me throughout my life. I started wondering how nonsensical characters like Bionicles or superheroes would work in the game. Brawl was the first game I ever pre-ordered and became a staple after my band practices. And the only reason I ever got a 3DS was because of Smash. And in college, it really took over. I was always around people to play with and talk about it constantly, and Smash Wii U became the dominant time sink for my 4 years there. It got me deeper into the community and started me on the more creative side of things, making Fantasy Smash Ball with my friends, which we still play to this day. And just as college and Smash 4 were ending, a new chapter of my life started with this channel and Smash Ultimate. It's kind of wild to think about how important Smash has been for me and how much it's followed me throughout my life. Smash has been with me the whole time. I can't understate the importance this franchise has for me, and I'm sure many of you feel the same. And to have such a definitive version, to have something that was made for all players with such care and attention to detail and clear understanding of what fans want, making the impossible possible, I can't help but be in awe of what Smash Ultimate has given me and the community. It's been said before, and I'm sure it'll be said again, but there's no better way to end this video than with a simple message of gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Sakurai.